Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a mood reading vlog for the next week. Originally, I wanted this vlog to be a reading thrillers for a week, but I just got done reading 2 thrillers and Gone Girl just put my head in a twist. There are a few books that I have that are thrillers to choose from in this reading vlog, but I don't know if I'm in the mood to only read thrillers now. So the books to choose from, I have quite a few because I don't know. I don't know what to read. So I have these books right here, and I'm kind of gravitating toward reading The Wind Through the Keyhole. This one is a novella that occurs between the 4th and the 5th book in the Dark Tower series. I kind of took a break from this series for a while because the last book just wasn't really my favorite. It was a good book. It needed to happen, but it just wasn't my favorite. I've been missing the characters in this series. They're just like family. I love them and I'm ready to continue my trek to the Dark Tower. That one's probably like a top contender. The next one is, and you guys are gonna hate me for it, but I have not read A Court of, I was gonna say Echoes. I have not read A Court of Silver Flames. Honestly, I was just waiting until I heard about the next book in the series coming out, and we're still waiting. So I might as well just crack this open and read it. I've gotten a lot of people tell me that I'll be fine. It doesn't end on a cliffhanger. I can read it and it's good. I won't be upset that the next book isn't out yet. So I heard there's a lot of spice in here and I just don't know if that's really what I'm looking for, so that's kind of also my hesitancy on reading that one. Then I have a challenge of reading books on my shelf that I bought a long time ago and I just haven't picked up. So for that one I have Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. I don't know, I got this when I was a teen. I thought it might be sad. I didn't want to cry, and so it's been on my shelf forever. The next one has also been on my shelf for a while. The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. I've been wanting to read this for a while, and I don't know, I think it's going to take up a lot of mental capacity to kind of keep up with it and read it, but I could be wrong. Then I have They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. I've been wanting to read this just for like a couple weeks now. But it is a thriller, so I don't know if I want to save this for reading thrillers for a week or if I want to read it now. I kind of want to read it now. Okay, then on my Kindle, I have one of my best friends wants me to read The Housemaid. I'm not really sure if I'll like The Housemaid, but I have that one. Then I have A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. I have a lot of hopes for that book because I think the story of Persephone and Hades is a really awesome story, but it's awesome in the sense of that it is already a story, so I don't know if I'll like this rendition of it, and who knows, I just don't want to be disappointed with that one, so it's kind of been on my shelf for a while and I'm hesitant to pick it up. The next one is Everlong by R. Rada. Gosh, I picked a lot of books for this video, but again, I don't know what I'm in the mood to read. So I'm going to get to picking which one of these books I actually want to read. Hey guys, little update. I'm back from the gym and I read till 11% of Touch of Darkness. Nothing's really happening thus far. I'm curious to see where this story goes, but so far it's kind of lacking that creative spark. I don't know, it's just so many characters meet at a bar and it's the same kind of trope. It's been done so many times before. It's not cute anymore. It's cringy. Let's stop meeting guys at bars, please. I mean, technically it's a club, I suppose, but there's drinks involved. It might as well be a bar, but it kind of sounds like it's a casino. It takes place in modern day times in a place called New Athens. So I'm just I'm a little perplexed on the setting and the timeline of this story. I find it very odd. Anyways, Persephone is a journalism student. She's off at college and she just got her internship with a news company. And so she's really excited about that. And she has a very turbulent relationship with her controlling mother, Demeter. That's about it. It's basically interest and attraction at first sight when she meets Hades, and they meet. I do prefer reading with my Kindle at the gym, so I'm probably just going to save that for the gym, but I'm going to go ahead and start on The Wind Through the Keyhole. Something was just calling, well, the characters were calling me back to them, and they were urging me to pick this up, so I think I'm going to start on this book. Gosh, that's where this bookmark went. I lost a bookmark at the gym, and it went underneath another treadmill and I couldn't get it out. I couldn't find it. So that's why I don't really like paperbacks at the gym. So I'm gonna start this. Little update, it's almost 6 p.m. and I am 40 pages into The Wind Through the Keyhole. Let me just tell you, if you guys don't know what the Dark Tower series is about, it follows along the main character, Roland Deschain, who is a gunslinger in this world called Midworld, which is stacked upon our reality as we know it, and there's holes in the space-time that the worlds kind of like intermingle. And Roland is the last gunslinger, and his arch nemesis is the Man in Black, who is a wizard. So in like the present timeline, Roland is following the Man in Black throughout the course of the series to get to the Dark Tower. As you may have recalled, I picked this book up because I was missing characters, right? And I'm missing characters in the present timeline. Everything was so cool, like it was getting so good in the present timeline. I thought I was getting more of my characters in this book, and no. So there is a storm brewing that is called a Stark Blast. It's a gnarly freaking storm. Very cool scene. But they are now held up in an abandoned building, seeking shelter to weather out this storm, and none of them can sleep. And so Roland tells stories, and literally I'm moving through the book and I'm like, oh my god, this whole book is Roland telling stories of the past again, and I'm not having it. I'm sure like they're good. I just like, I really wanted my characters. I wanted more Eddie, I wanted more Jake, I wanted more Susanna, I wanted more Oi. I wanted more of the quest to the Dark Tower, you know? So yeah, so that's kind of like what's happening with this. There's two stories, and I do want to know the story of The Wind Through the Keyhole. It was like a childhood fable. It sounds like that Roland was told when he was a kid. It might be good. I don't know. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. I just wanted my characters. So, I didn't really film a lot yesterday. I didn't really read yesterday, if I'm being completely truthful. I was quite inundated by trying to do my taxes. That took hours, and it kind of ate up my time because I had other things to do yesterday as well. Today, I am going to be reading for the next, I don't know, few hours. So I'm on page 70 of The Wind Through the Keyhole. I will say, as much as I do not like going back in time right now because I want my characters, this jump back into the time is not as bad as it was in the last book, Wizard in Glass. But I did forget to mention that one of the reasons why I don't like going back in time in this series is because of the language. Like, if you guys have read the Dark Tower series, or if you are planning to, it is a trek through the first book because the language barrier is so extreme. It is so difficult to get through that book. In Midworld, it's just not our English. And then a lot of the characters also have very thick accents that I cannot place within my own frame of reference. I mean, props to Stephen King for doing that. It's a great epic fantasy, and it has been so far. However, the language it's rough to read. And I will say that in the second book onward, in the current timeline, the language does get better because we have other characters who are in our world and in more present day timelines who kind of translate and they like discuss with Roland like, oh, what does that mean? Like Roland calls sandwiches popkins, and I didn't know what that was. I was like, what's a popkin? And yeah, there's like discussion between the characters of like, oh yes, and you know, we call it a sandwich, but you know, he calls it a popkin, kind of a thing. And so there is like help with the translation, and the other characters' English does rub off on Roland, so he does become a little bit easier to understand as the series progresses. But going back in time, however, but I want to say that this book did come out after the whole Dark Tower series was already published, so I think Stephen King made it a little bit easier to read. So for that, I'm thankful, because it's not as grueling as The Wizard of Glass or Wizard and Glass. But yeah, so right now I am 70 pages in, and we are traversing through the story of the Skin Man, which is a shapeshifter slash shape changer, some sort of man or entity that shapeshifts and changes his form to be whatever. Don't know much about him yet, or her, or it, whichever, I don't know. So the Skin Man is basically terrorizing this town called Deberia within Midworld and killing a lot of people. And so Roland's father sent him, as well as another young gunslinger, Jamie, to kind of check it out, find the Skin Man, and put a stop to him. I am curious as to who the Skin Man is and how they're going to solve this kind of mystery going on that's at foot. Anyways, that's where I'm at. Let's keep on reading. I don't understand either, Roland. Ooh. So I read outside for a few hours. It was honestly such a vibe. Like the weather is finally kind of warm-ish, but like not too warm. I mean, I'm wearing sweats, so not too warm. But yeah, the birds were chirping, the sun was out. It was just really calming to like read outside and get lost in an adventure in the pages of The Wind Through the Keyhole. I'm currently on page 162. It is actually a lot better than I had thought it would be. I didn't really expect to like this book at all, but the stories are really cool, and the way that King wrote them, it's very meta. Like in the current timeline, he's telling the other main characters a story, and then within that story, he's telling another character another story. And so I'm at the point where he's telling the story of the wind through the keyhole. So we've put a pause on the Skin Man, so no news on that, except that that the way the Skin Man kills people is extremely violent. Haven't gotten too far in that story, but right now the majority of the book is the story of the wind through the keyhole. And that one's pretty good so far. I'm gonna kind of pause it right here because I'm at a good like stopping point. And furthermore, I'm gonna pick up A Touch of Darkness and see what's kind of going on in this one. I love how they just advertise on Kindle other books to read. Like, I don't know, I was looking at the Oligarchs? Nothing ever sounds right when I say it. The Oligarch's Daughter by Joseph Finder, and it actually looks really good. And it's funny because Stephen King reviewed it as this one is hands down his best ever. And now it's on my TBR, and this is why I have an endless TBR. But yeah, anyways, back into the realm of gods and goddesses and Hades and Persephone. Oh! Hades is giving book boyfriend vibe. I didn't expect him to have like this sweet side, but this is cute. This is really cute. So I stayed up last night and I finished A Touch of Darkness on my Kindle. I don't think I even described this book, which is probably best that I didn't describe this book because I would have been wrong. So A Touch of Darkness is basically a modern day reimagining of the myth of Hades and Persephone. I really need to get better at reading the synopses on Kindle because honestly I'll read them and then if it seems interesting I just press download, and that's how I think I screw myself over with with reading some of these books, because if I had read the synopses again I probably would not have gone into it thinking one thing and then getting another, if you know what I mean. It is a reimagining. Yeah, so anyways, I was definitely expecting something totally different. I was not expecting this to be more of like a contemporary romance. I was definitely expecting more back in the day, gods and goddesses, and the story more staying true to the Greek myth. It didn't, it doesn't. With that in mind, I tried to keep an open mind. I missed what I was truly getting myself into. So that's on me. That's on me. So I rated this book 2.5 stars. I think this is like a guilty pleasure sort of read. I enjoyed it. I was quite entertained. I was definitely like engaged. Like I stayed up reading last night to finish it. If you kind of are interested in like finding your new book boyfriend, like I think Hades is a pretty good candidate, but it's all very like, it's all very stereotypical. It's very cliched. It's all been done before, very derivative of other works of fiction and of contemporary romances. Again, was lacking for me. I also didn't realize from my ignorance of not looking at Kindle too thoroughly, this is the first book in a 7-book series. I mean, I kind of was under the impression that it was a trilogy, but no, there's other books that I want to say are from Hades' point of view that are also in the series. I had no idea the series was so long, so I don't think like we're getting much plot from the first book. So I'll give it the benefit of the doubt of like maybe there's more of a plot going on, and again, just in the first book it's just starting up, we don't really get that. What's more to say about it? Anyways, I'm still where I was at yesterday with The Wind Through the Keyhole, so I'm hoping I'll probably finish that today. No! That's why he had to give her the axe. That's for this moment right here, right here. Oh, sweet revenge. So little update, I did start on The Housemaid yesterday when I was at the gym, and honestly I think I'm gonna softy enough this right now. The prologue really got me intrigued. If you could tell by the clip, like the prologue just went straight into it and I was like, what is happening right here? And then chapter 1 started, and I have to say I just don't think I'm really a big fan of Frida McFadden's characters or dialogue. They just throw me off. I read The Inmate by her and I wasn't all that impressed. The story itself I think was fine, but there's so many different plot holes and the characters just seem like underdeveloped and almost silly to me. As I got into Housemaid, I was feeling the same way. Like I couldn't get with it. So I think I'm gonna softy enough that for right now. And then I did finish The Wind Through the Keyhole this morning. I actually enjoyed this book a little bit more than the last book, Wizard and Glass, in this series. The way that Stephen King has these nestled narratives embedded within the story itself, it was interesting to read just for the literary quality of it. I did enjoy the 2 stories that he told. There was mystery, there was adventure, there was fantasy, there was like even some sci-fi elements. Honestly, like everything you could possibly want like literally every genre is within the Dark Tower series. I think it's very like weird that all these genres are in this series, but it also like it just gives you your fix if you're wanting literally to read anything. Very good. I don't really know what I'm gonna rate it because it's kind of hard because it is a novella in its own right. Like it can be read by itself without reading the Dark Tower series, but it does take place within the Dark Tower series. So I'm kind of like, I don't know how to rate it. So I'll probably get back to you with the rating. But last night I could not get the myth of Hades and Persephone out of my head. And so I was looking on Goodreads for a book that was not a modern reimagining, but more of a retelling of the myth. And I did find one, and it's called His in the Dark, and it is by W. Winters. I'm like 55% of the way through, and so far it has been more of a retelling. It's not in modern day, and it is focused more so on the myth itself and retelling that myth. So we get more of Zeus, we get more of Demeter, we get Hades, who seems more like the god of the underworld. Like he isn't this like book boyfriend type of a character. Like he can be nefarious and he has his own agenda, and so I've been enjoying it. There's a little bit more of like a setup too for both of the characters because it's dual POV, and I think I stopped right when we're kind of getting into what's going on in Olympus since Persephone has vanished. So it's been okay. There has been a lot of repetition, but for the purpose of getting my Hades and Persephone fix, it's giving the story of the myth. So I've been enjoying that. Anyways, I am off to go to work, and then I am meeting up with a friend after work and hanging out with her for a bit, and then I'll probably be back to continue reading and picking my next book to read. So I'll see you guys then. I think I had a reading slump or at least a reading lull. After I got home yesterday from hanging out with my friend, I literally could not get into reading, and I wound up watching The Office instead. So which was a great night in, if you ask me. I love The Office. I did think about rating The Wind Through the Keyhole, and I think I'm going to rate it as a part of the series, so not necessarily like a standalone. So I rated it 4.25 stars. I think it was a really well done story. I am like debating if I want to just jump right into The Wolves of Kala. However, I'm not going to finish this in this video. 3 pages short of 700 pages. So I don't think I'm gonna finish this by Tuesday. Today's Sunday. I don't think I'm gonna do it. I don't know what to read. I think I just need to decide and pick something up. Okay, it is some time later. I read 66 pages of They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. Basically, this book is a thriller. It's a dual POV between one character named Scarlett, who is a professor at Gordon University, who for the last 16 years has been killing men who have done something unjust to women. So we're following along Scarlett. She's plotting her next kill. And then we are also following Carly, who is a freshman student at Gordon University, and she is kind of escaping her abusive father and her mother by going to school and living on campus. Carly ends up befriending her roommate Allison, and they are kind of getting closer. And on the back of the cover it says that eventually something is going to happen to Allison at a party, and Carly is going to want to seek revenge for her friend. We're kind of just setting the scene right now, learning a little bit about both Scarlett and Carly. So far it's been okay. I'm definitely intrigued. The chapters are pretty short, so it's pretty easy to breeze on through. And I do like both of the main characters. Not like as in like, oh yeah, I really like these people. Like Scarlett is murdering people, so could you imagine? Like, I want to befriend Scarlett. She's a murderer. She sounds great. I do like the characters just in the sense of like they seem very well developed. I think my interests are more piqued when it comes to Carly, because Carly seems very like this shy, reserved kind of a person. I'm very curious of how Carly's character is going to develop throughout the course of the book, and then I am curious to see what's going to happen with Scarlet and her next victim that she's choosing. I think this was a good pick to kind of get me out of the little lull. Wait, what? Wait. That's a good twist. I didn't see that coming. It got so cold out of nowhere. We had like a couple of beautiful days and now it's just back to being chilly and windy. Anywho, this morning I finished They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. I ate this book up, honestly. This was such a great thriller. I feel like there's two different types of thrillers. There's the first kind where you don't know like anything that's happening, and like throughout the majority of the book you're like, what is happening? What is going on? What is going on? And the thrill of it is to finally find out, and it surpasses whatever guesses that you thought was probably happening. And then there's the second type of thriller where you know already what's happening and it's just a matter of how the cards are going to be laid out. That's this book. It was thrilling. It was unhinged. It was chilling. It was so good. It was very fast paced. The characters were, I mean, questionable, but like also they were developed pretty well. I really enjoyed Lane Fargo's writing style. I'll probably read some more books by her. I am going to be rating it 4.75 stars. I probably could have finished this last night, but I did want to read some more of His in the Dark, which I am like 78% of the way through. I'll probably read some more later, finish this up, and start on another book because I have till tomorrow, hopefully, to read and finish another book. I have my eyes set on Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, or The Five People You Meet in Heaven, which seems like it's should be an easy read. In the meantime though, I'm gonna keep working on His in the Dark and hopefully finish that and start on my next book. Okay, you guys, it is the next day. It is the last day of this mood reading week with me. Thank you guys so much for following along. I did finish His in the Dark on Kindle last night. Well, I guess it was like last evening. And then I went to the gym, and when I came back, I started Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. Well, before I get into this one, let me finish up with His in the Dark. So His in the Dark, I rated it 2.75 stars. I definitely scratched that Hades and Persephone itch that I had going on. I think it was a bad idea to read both A Touch of Darkness and His in the Dark, because at this point I'm like merging both stories together because there were aspects to both of them that I enjoyed and I would have liked just to see them meshed together. I enjoyed more of the retelling in His in the Dark. I think that it followed along more of the myth of Hades and Persephone, so I did appreciate that. I think though that like the repetition of like almost everything in the book, it just drove me nuts. I found that it really disengaged me from reading. It was like enjoyable enough for me to finish reading it. I think I definitely got my fill of Hades and Persephone. Will I be going back anytime soon? I don't know. The book did end on a cliffhanger, so I'm not sure if I would like to revisit that. Same with like A Touch of Darkness, because that's just a very long series for such a short myth. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. If you guys want me to continue reading, drop a comment, let me know. Anyways, I did start Meet Earl and the Dying Girl last night, and I did read some this morning, and I read until 10:25, which was about, that's the time when I started this video last week. So I read all the way up until the full week was up. Now on page 181 of Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. So this is a young adult book, and it's written by our main character, Greg, who is a senior in high school, and he is trying just to keep a very low profile. He has like this whole social hierarchy of the high school that he's at, and he's just basically trying to not be noticed. He's purposely trying not to have many friends, but the one friend that he does have, Earl, comes from a very different background than he does, and they get along together very well, and they're both into very old foreign films, and they start making films together. And then enters the dying girl, whose name is Rachel. Rachel is just diagnosed with leukemia, and Greg's mother kind of forces Greg, I guess, forces him into it to be friends with Rachel. So I expected this book to be quite sad. You know, any cancer story, typically some character dies. So I went into this book thinking that it's probably going to be a tearjerker. However, so far, this book is laugh out loud funny. It is so comical. The main character, Greg, is just, he has just a very weird sense of humor, and it's just been a really entertaining read so far. The characters in it, like his interactions with his mother, are hilarious. His interactions with Earl, great, brilliant. His interactions with Rachel, also wonderful. He's just a very fun, lighthearted character to follow, and he seems very real as far as like a high school senior boy goes. I'm probably gonna eat the rest of this book up. Been loving it. Wish I had finished it for this video so I could give you guys a rating, but I'm sure I will do that in my March Madness wrap up. Anyways, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and click that subscribe button for some more book content. And until the next one, happy reading and toodaloo!